Hi everyone, this is Sai Kiran. I got the engineering challenge from MaMu to build a prototype of a teacher-facing interface. So I have built a simple application where I'll first of all let me show you guys the workflow of what my process, how I structured this project. So, so here we have two inputs that we are giving to the model in the entire system. One is the student profile, which I mentioned as student raw input, and also a lesson file, of which the teacher wants to modify the lesson. So, how, this is how it starts. First, we'll input the student raw profile, and it is taken by the LLM with a RAG architecture. So I'll go more detail about this RAG architecture, what content I have used in the backend and all. So first, let me explain the workflow clearly. So it goes to the LLM with a RAG, and that model generates outputs as a student mapping file, which is basically a JSON file with all the key value pairs where the keys are the necessary needs for the particular student according to his disability and also his profile. So, and for the next model, we are inputting again to we are giving it two inputs. One is the student mapping file as well as the lesson file. So what it is doing is that so it takes the what student needs and also the particular lesson, and it outputs a modified lesson according to that student needs. So, and I have also in my prototype I didn't create a feedback loop, but it can be easily implemented, and this is the conceptual picture of it. So when you get the modified lesson as the output, you can take feedback from either from the teacher or from the student using a prompt, and that prompt will be inputted to the first LLM model, and by taking that as the input, it modifies the existing student mapping file to a new student mapping file. So that's how the workflow is. So coming to each one, I'll show you how each input and everything looks. So so coming to the student input, so you can see this is how a student input is. It's basically name, age, native language, and what disability he has, and English reading level, math level, strengths, needs, and also interests. So basically, here in this particular in this prototype that I have built, I kept needs field completely optional because I thought of a scenario where the teacher isn't expert in deriving what actually that particular student needs. So I kept that as optional. And if that is not provided, I'll also show you how it's going to extract. If the needs aren't provided, so it extracts the student profile with that disability, and we have a knowledge base where I have extracted this data from UDL from version 3.0. So you have different neurodiverse groups like autism, ADHD, and so on. So it takes the needs from using this particular knowledge based reference. And also I have derived a path for the how it has to translate for the multilingual learners. Like I have used the top 10 languages that are mostly used in the US across the students or the learners. So this is how this file looks. After that, once you give the input, the first LLM generates a student mapping file. So I'll show you how that student mapping file looks like. So this is how this student mapping file looks for this particular student. And I'll also be giving you a demo in later of this video to show you how different inputs varies the different content. So this is how it generates. So it's a simplified language. It is true. You have to translate yes, yeah, into Spanish and add visuals. Yes, true. And all these criteria. And so the next file I want to show is a lesson file. So this is basically nothing but I'll show you how a lesson file looks. So I have taken a pretty basic lesson file data. So this is a sample lesson file. This is a very pretty basic lesson file that I'm going to input to the LLM. And I'll show you how the modified lesson looks like once it generates. Or I can also show you the outputs. It does not exist because I didn't run it yet. So I'll show you how it looks like. So let's go to the demo part. So let me initiate the system. I'm initiating both backend and also the front end. So this is the main page of how I kept it pretty basic, and it needs a lot of improvements that we can be done later. So this is the base prototype. So as you can see, we have three options over here. One is a create a new student profile, and one is a view or edit the existing student profiles, and also upload lesson and personalize. So let me show you each one. So as you can see, currently we have a student called student test. Um, First, let me create a new student profile. I want to give it as student A, and age I want to give it as 13, and uh, I'll take it as a. So let me consider a case where it's just English, and we can also try it. Okay, let me consider Spanish, and native reading level is as we already have an example with Spanish. Let me show you how it works with English. I'll show you both the cases. Native reading level is let's say grade 7, and learning language none. English reading level is grade 7. Math level, let's say grade 5. And disability, let's say it has autism. And strengths, let's say verbal communication, leadership. And interest, let me put few games like I'll go with table tennis and other video games. And I can put social media. So I'm saving the profile, so you can see profile actually got saved, and it gets a you can see in view we have one more student, which is a student A. We can edit here also if we want. Suppose let me edit it, not leadership, but you can say you can say some other skill like let me just remove the leadership, and I'm going to save it. Profile update successfully. So as you can see, the test in the test, and in the test um, we have the native language as Spanish in student test, and in student day we have the native language as English. So let me show you different options. So let me choose the lesson file. This is a simple lesson. So I want to select the student A whose native language is English, and let me submit it, and let me see how it's going to take that. As you can see, we got a download link of the modified lesson. When I download it, it gets downloaded. Once I open it, this is how it got a simple lesson got revised according to the student needs of that particular disability. So as you can see, as we mentioned, student A's interests are table tennis, video games, and social media, it is going to take reference of those things. So if you have a table tennis paddle and it's split into two equal parts, half means one part out of two, something like that. And this is for the teacher's part. Before sending it or uploading it to the learner's page, she has to upload an image of this particular kind. It is also mentioned this image shows a pizza with the different fractions highlighted. So, and this is a teacher's part, but it can be automated by using tools, and that wasn't mentioned in the prototype, but it can definitely be improvised. The teacher doesn't have to create an image; it generates itself. And also some practice questions for the student. We have the revised practice questions from what which is different from our original input. And you can see incorporating interest. Imagine your favorite video game. It gives all the examples according to his interest, so that the learner can get the best. So it also increase the cognitive ability, like it can be used to the self awareness and the self revision. Like think about what you learn. How would you explain fractions to friends using social media and different? It basically opens the students' creativity. So these are the things that it generated, and for the student who is a native and who has the disability of autism. So let me show you one more example where I'll upload a lesson. I'm going to upload the same lesson, and I'm going to choose a student whose native language is Spanish, and I'm going to submit it. We got the modified lesson, and when I open it, you can see the titles are in Spanish, and so the multilingual learners whose native language is different can easily understand it. And in the same way, this also can be improvised using different things. And I will also explain what are the things I'm planning for the future scope of improvement. So this is how the basic prototype works. And as you can see, it is a customizable for each and every student based on that particular student's profile. So speaking of the future scope, I haven't built a feedback loop in this basic prototype, but it can be implemented. As you can see, the workflow. Once we get the modified lesson as the output, either the student or the teacher can provide a feedback in a prompt, and that prompt will be taken by the LLM with RAG, and basically the first model, and then it basically modifies it using the previous student's mapping file and also the feedback received from the student, either from the student or the teacher. So and also one more thing I want to include in the improvements, in the modified lesson generation, for some particular students, it's better to include a video which explains which is a visual representation of what the lesson is. So for that, what I'm planning is that we can add YouTube links by calling the YouTube API using the MCP servers, and that would be a huge thing. That would be a very I mean it reduces a lot of time for the teachers to create a video or refer a video or even look for the link on the YouTube. It directly finds the link on the YouTube and it directly pastes the link over there in the revised version of the lesson. So the two future implements I mentioned is one is feedback loop. I can directly implement it, and also a video link which can be used by another agent in the backend, which calls the YouTube API and checks for the relevant links on the YouTube using the MCP servers. So yeah, this is my whole project that I have done, and And I'm also attaching a presentation, and also GitHub repository where the code and everything is mentioned. You can definitely refer that. And thank you so much for your interest.